How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Chaos Head Noah. It is time yet again for another character route, and this time it's Sena's turn. Yay. Actually, I am looking forward for her route. This last one with Kozupi was absolutely insane. Words can't even describe my feelings for that one. But nonetheless, Sena's, I think, will be very informative. Maybe we'll learn even more about her. Her character is also a very interesting one. And we need to go into chapter 3 for this one. I actually ran across this one like twice on accident whenever I was going through. I obviously didn't do anything about the choices, but I do know where they're at. It's our it's that confrontation with it's this right here actually. This is it. This is it right here. Perfect. Yep, she'd actually swung the sword. Okay, so we need to do a yes, 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 no. And we go neutral on this one, actually. I think. Yes, we do. Perfect. Because I can read. Please let me ogle you more. Oh, no. Where is this headed? If it's with this girl, I'm willing to get down on my hands and knees and beg with all my heart and soul. Oh my gosh. All right. If given the choice, I prefer being stepped on. Me personally, no, but I've got nothing against a little swordplay, if you know what I mean. No, I don't. Not necessarily. And this is a no. She's going to kill me with that sword either way. No, no, no. And we got the Steam achievement. Soda flavored. I don't even know what that's saying. Garu-gari-kun? Maybe that's the ice cream or whatever. But now it's time to get back to it with all the skipping. I think this will be a good route. And again, guys, we're practically almost done. I don't know how many more episodes we'll have to go through here. I guess it sort of just depends on how long I record for each of the episodes. Unfortunately, there's like a heat wave going through California right now, so I haven't been wanting to sit down here and record for too long because it begins to kill me. But nonetheless, I think we're only really like maybe not a handful of episodes left, but we are really getting close to the end. Just sort of depends on how long these routes end up being. Some have been slightly longer than others or have appeared like it. And again, it also just depends on how long my recording sessions are. But we'll get on into, where does it say here? The game will branch into the route in chapter 7. All right, that means we'll get a new chapter 8, I believe, which means probably again there will be some things I'll have to manually skip, but I'll have to be on the lookout for the absolute new content. And hopefully not too much involves Kozupi. I've had enough of her, honestly. She's a very interesting character, do not get me wrong. I thought her route was fun because it was nutty, and she was not as annoying as I guess interpreted her being annoying in the anime. We could just blame the anime on all that. But I've had my fill of Kozupi. Let's just completely focus on somebody else, please. Oh, here we go. This is the new scene, or at least one of them. A solitary train car stood stock still near Shibuya Station. It was a car that was open to the public, with many referring to it as the Green Frog. Aoi Sena sat inside of it. Biting her thumbnails, she looked out the window and watched the passers-by with disinterest. She and Nishijo Takumi had spoken at length yesterday on this very train, and today she had come here once again. She hadn't gone to school, attendance was the least of her worries. She was constantly driven by feelings of impatience. As a result, she would often get very irritated with others, leading to her fairly harsh behavior toward them. Her voice swelled with hatred, all of it directed toward a single individual. She dug a hand into her uniform pocket and took out a piece of paper. What a really fun equation. I don't know how else to describe this. It was a small crumpled scrap of paper torn from a memo pad. Written on it was something resembling an algebraic formula. The letters were faded and dull, perhaps due to aging, or perhaps because it had been written in pencil. Only one part remained barely eligible, and that was IR2. It was the scribblings of Sena's father from long ago. Needless to say, she did not exactly treat it like a holy artifact. Instead, she simply kept it close so that she could always remember the hatred that she held for her father. Sena's family was once a happy one. However, the moment her father had scrawled a certain formula onto this piece of paper, slowly, silently, yet certainly, madness began to envelop everything. Sena's father had once been a corporate scientist. Sena had been just an elementary school student at the time, and while she did not understand the type of work her father did, she knew he was always busy. He was rarely home. Occasionally he would come home and show his affectionate side, but that almost never lasted even a day. He would be back to work before anyone knew it. It was not that she disliked her father, but she was a little disappointed to find that she could not think of a single time her family had ever sat down for a meal together. Then came a day about 6.5 years ago, where her father returned home from work. Unlike his usual calm and collected self, he had been brimming with excitement.
Sena, 父さんはすごい発見をしたぞ。これはノーベル賞どころの騒ぎじゃない。
何がそんなにすごいの？
この公式はこれまでの世界の仕組みをも変えるだろう。それほどの大発見なんだ。
As he spoke, he held a memo pad before Sena's eyes. Written on it was the IR2 equation.
ずっと探していたんだよ。父さんではどうしても思いつけなかった。プロジェクトノアは停滞していた。手詰まりだった。だが、この公式があれば、計画は次の段階に進めるんだ。まさかあんなところで見つけるなんて思いもしなかったよ。これはまさに信仰の救いだね。東京駅だ。たまたま通りかかったんだ。本当に偶然だった。セナは東京駅に行ったことはあったかな。やたら広いだろう、あの駅の構内は。その構内の一角にたくさんの作文が展示されていたんだ。文部省の全国なんとか作文コンクールとか、そんな名前の展覧会だったよ。優秀な子供たちの作文が飾ってあってね。セナ知ってるかい？もしかして応募したりしたかい？
わかんない。多分知らない。
セナが出ればきっとセナも優秀作品に選ばれていたんじゃないかな。
そんなことないよ。私、作文は苦手。
Well, neither is Nishijo Takumi.
そうか？
However,
もっと自信を持つべきだと思うがな。
ねえ、作文がすごい大発見だったんだ。
いやー、違う。そうじゃないんだ。作文なんてどうでもいいんだよ。重要だったのは、その裏に書かれていた落書きなんだ。そこに飾られていた作文は、透明のプラスチックの額に収められていてね。裏側も見ることができた。それは多分、演出とかそういうものじゃない。たまたま透明なだけだったんだろうね。
imagine, like, they didn't do that. Like, the back was actually protected physically, was something that wasn't actually going to allow for people to see the back of it. This equation probably wouldn't have gotten out there as easily. I'm sure it somehow would have gotten out there, but just not as simply as this.
きっと主催者には作文の裏の落書きを見せようなんて気はなかったはずなんだ。だからこの公式を父さんが見る確率はそれこそ天文学的数字だったわけさ。これが奇跡というやつなのかな。
公式っていうことは算数なんだね。
ああ、そうだよ。すごく難しい算数だ。
算数で世界を変えられちゃったりするのかな？
Yes.
ああ、変えられるよ。父さんの研究はね、世界を変えることなんだ。
本当？信じられないな。
いつか証明してあげるよ。見ていてくれ、セナ。
It had been over 6.5 years since that day. Gritting her teeth together, Sena shoved the paper back in her pocket. She gazed through the window, her eyes focused on the dull sky above. Undoubtedly, the world would change soon, just as her father had said. Sena's own world had already undergone many drastic changes. Vileness, havoc. Everywhere you looked, you would find more. It had become an unfathomably hideous place.
そんな世界は作らせない。
That is correct.
奴を殺して私が止めてやる。
Okay. That was a nice little peek into the past there, I think. That was interesting. I mean, obviously we know a pretty good amount of Sena's past because of her father's involvement. I mean, we had that whole like peer into I guess what happened to Sena's sibling and her mother. And that shit was insane. I was not expecting that. That was a very, very sudden thing. But man, it's crazy to hear that voice, the voice of Sena's father, as energetic as he was, and all other times that we've talked with him, he just sounds destroyed, like he's already dead, like he has no more life in him, he is gone. I don't know, just a pretty obvious observation, but a very interesting one as well. Oh hey, I found a positive delusion. This is in chapter 6, right after you make the choices regarding the D sword. And I think this is us getting advice from Seraton about what we should do here.
タッキーはよくやったよ。妹を亡くした悲劇の兄として今後もやっていけるって。
A tragic big brother.
PTSD って言えば何もかも許されるっしょ。正々堂々と引きこもれるんだよ。あ、もしかしたらさ、どっかの偽善者が同情してタッキーを養ってくれるかもしんないね。ブログに適当なこと書けば出版社に目をつけられてベストセラーになっちゃうかも。日本中が泣いたとか白々しいキャッチコピーがつけられて、それに載せられたバカでゆとりな人たちからの感動した共感したっていう絶賛の嵐。それで印税もガッポガッポ。半年後に映画が決定っしょ。すごいよ。ナナミッチをここで見殺しにするだけでタッキーにはバラ色の人生が待ってるんさ。さあどっちを選ぶ？タッキーがここで頑張ってでも死んで全てが無になるか、バラ色の人生か。
Okay, it seems like her advice either way is to just like let Nanami die. That's lovely. Either way, I mean, everything will play out exactly the same. You know, something that'd be really cool, like just something I was thinking about is, you know, once you get like the true ending and all that, you've done everything story-wise, the game could just like tell you what delusions you haven't looked at, so that it's slightly easier to go and find them. I don't know, just a little shower thought. That'd be nice. A nice little quality of life thing, maybe. I don't know. Okay, yeah, so we are now in the new chapter. Perfect. I was already talking. Fantastic. I think we can skip a bit of this, even so. I'm pretty sure we've already read through this like 5 different times. I think we're okay to skip a little bit of this. Okay, this is a little new here. So last time, he was asking like, you know, who could protect me, who can save me, and it directed itself over towards Kozupi. This time, it's Sena.
中途半端な気持ちじゃ妄想に食われるだけだぞ。
Aoi Sena. Yesterday, when the two of us had gone our separate ways, she'd given me that piece of advice. She definitely knew something. She also had a D-sword. She seemed strong, too. Would she be my savior? If not, I was doomed. Yeah, see? Takumi is honestly just looking for somebody to save his ass. However we go about it. The following day, I made my way to the front of the station. In all honesty, I really didn't want to have to go back there. After all the traumatic Esper bullshit, the front of Shibuya Station brought back nothing but bad memories. Adding to my stress, just like usual, there were way too many people. The area around Hachiko was absolutely infested with normies loitering around. Everyone kept glancing at me and sneering as they pointed their phones at me. But when I turned around to look away, my eyes wandered up toward the towering O-front, the very building where I had committed social suicide only a few days ago. Videos covering every angle of that night continue to make the rounds on the internet, and they would likely continue to spread across the world for all eternity. Erasing them was pretty much impossible at this point. No, it was very impossible. I was going to spend the rest of my life as the internet's favorite punchline. I was so frustrated, angry, and sad it made me want to get as far away from it as I possibly could. But knowing Shogun would kill me the second I tried to escape, I was forced to painstakingly stand my ground. I cautiously stepped foot into the train carriage known as the Green Frog, trying my hardest to avoid looking at my surroundings. Unsurprisingly, there she sat, Aoi's Sena, the train's sole passenger. It took me a minute, but I realized that the reason why no one else was in the car was likely due to Sena's own handiwork. She'd used her gigalomaniac powers, or whatever they were.
お前か。エラーを見つけたのか。
Shaking my head lightly, I handed her the Crunchy-kun that I'd bought in advance from the local convenience store. It was my way of getting my foot in the door. Here, I know it's not much, but I hope you like it. Oh, no, please don't worry about it, thank you very much. And that's how it would go, all according to the stupid-ass Japanese custom. But even though I knew it was idiotic, not even I would stoop as low as to ask for protection without giving something in return. As payment for her services, I would give her 3 Crunchy-kuns a day. It was an offer even Sena couldn't refuse.
くれるのか。ありがとう。
She accepted it with surprisingly little resistance. Everything was going according to plan.
西条は何味が好きだ。私は断然ソーダ味だな。
I think we got the wrong flavor. Sena excitedly tore open the wrapping and took out the popsicle. It might have just been my imagination, but it almost looked like her mouth had curved into a slight smile. Man, just how obsessed with those things are you? You're practically asking for a stomachache.
僕はコーラ味。
なんだと。コーラ味なんて邪道だ。ふざけるな。
すいません。
I'd made her mad. I thought about telling her off or getting upset over something so trivial, but I figured I'd better keep my mouth shut. Yeah, honestly.
それで。
Taking a bite out of her Crunchy-kun, Sena shifted her probing gaze to me.
私に何か用か。
Why did she have to be so intimidating? The look in her eyes could turn me to stone. All I wanted was to ask for help, but it felt like the sheer anxiety alone was gonna kill me. I was already bad enough at talking to 3D girls as it is. I took a few deep breaths and just barely managed to calm myself down.
僕を助けてほしい。
どういう意味だ。
僕はニュージェネの真犯人に、狙われてる。この前話したでしょ。将軍っていうやつなんだ。僕はきっとそいつに思考盗撮されてる。
思考盗撮か。そいつ何者だ。
知るもんか。僕が聞きたいぐらいだ。
この渋谷で思考盗撮できる連中なんて限られてる。ギガロマニアックスか、あるいは望みの連中か。
望み？
望みテクノロジー、プロジェクトノアによって世界を手に入れようとしてる。
What was she on about? It sounded like some kind of conspiracy theory. But could Shogun be a member of that organization?
僕を助けてよ。頼むよ。
I felt myself rapidly sinking further into despair. I wanted something, anything to cling on to. Something that would save me. Sena took another bite of her crunchy-kun, and then furrowed her brow.
言ったはずだ。中途半端な気持ちで踏み込むなら妄想に食われると。お前には覚悟があるか？
ないよ。あるわけないだろ。僕がただ助けてくれって言ってるんだ。こんなのもううんざりなんだ。なんで僕ばっかり。
Sapped of all my willpower, I fell to my knees. Don't do this to me. Just protect me. What do you want me to do? I don't want to do anything anymore.
覚悟はなしか。
I felt her cold glare pierce through me. I could clearly tell just how pathetic I was being, so all I could do at that point was hang my head in shame.
だが、その将軍というやつは気になるな。もし望みの人間なら、ニュージェネ事件も連中が起こしてるということか。だとしたら、それを捨ておくわけには。
With a frown, Sena muttered that to herself as she looked out the window. She seemed to be deep in thought, but she kept chewing on her crunchy-kun regardless. Not longer after I said something? No, it's not long after I said something. Come on, guys. Also, she lost. Sena suddenly got up from her seat. She was now standing in front of me.
私に守ってほしいのか？
Damn it, she was always looking down on me. Did this bitch have a dominatrix fetish or something? Despite insulting her inside my head, I gave her a meek nod.
それはつまり、私とお前はこれから行動を共にするという意味だ。
Well, yeah, that's kind of what he wants.
それでもいいんだな。
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's cool with it. As long as you protect me, anything's fine. Protecting myself from Shogun's attacks was my highest priority right now.
本当に守ってくれるなら文句は言わない。
決まりだ。
Sena extended her hand toward me. I stared blankly at those delicate fingers of hers, unsure of what they were trying to convey. Growing impatient, Sena grabbed my hand and pulled me up. Our eyes met, if only for an instant. Having our gazes intertwine at such a short distance made me frantically avert my eyes. She then let go of my hand.
じゃあ行くぞ。
And then, as if to spur me onward, turned her back to me.
行くってどこへ？
のぞみテクノロジーの本社だ。
はあ？
これから乗り込む。
Wow, alright, yeah, let's fucking do it. Infiltrate? Like into the enemy base? No, what? What was this stupid bitch thinking? Did she have a death wish? Well, this was game over. God, I was such an idiot for thinking I could rely on her. Like hell I was gonna go anywhere near there. I wanted nothing to do with this. I wasn't the kind of person to just waltz right on into my death. I was the type of person who would tell someone, wow, that plant fucking sucks, and then ditch them. Ignoring my look of disbelief, Sena strolled briskly out the door. However, I meanwhile stayed right where I was, refusing to budge an inch. Suddenly I realized I could no longer move my arms. I glanced down at my own body. Before I could even blink, a white chain had coiled around my body, and on top of that, it was wrapped around me very, very tightly. Even when I tried to force it off, it refused to budge an inch. How did this even happen?
ぐずぐずするな。
Sena poked her head out the window and then urged me to come quickly. I felt the chain wrapped around my body being tugged. I tried to resist, but I no longer had full control of my body. The chain led outside the train carriage and ended when it reached Sena's hand, She was holding it. She was the one pulling me. So this is what queen and slave exhibitionist humiliation roleplay is like. I see. Wait, no, it was nothing like that. What the fuck? This is already really fun. God damn it, I was such an idiot for thinking I could rely on Sena. I clearly picked the wrong person for this. Someone help me, I can't take this anymore. Well, I think this is way better than the Kozupi route. Let's just be totally honest here. Nozomi's main branch was apparently within walking distance of Shibuya Station. I guess I can turn off the skip. But my mental strength had already been completely drained before we even reached it. After all, Sena had been parading me around right smack in the middle of Shibuya. It went without saying that practically every cell phone in existence had been pointed at me, and with that, my dark past had grown even darker. There was definitely a thread about it on @channel by now. Esper Nishijo indulging in puppy play with black-haired Butte in Shibuya. The Dokyuns were never gonna let me hear the end of this. No matter how much I pleaded with Sena, she refused to remove the chains.
今のお前にとって必要なのは目立つことだ。今のところ、その目的は達成されてるだろう。
She was constantly spouting all sorts of nonsensical reasoning like that. Oh, excuse me, seriously. What kind of bullshit logic was that? Yeah, weren't we supposed to infiltrate? Anzai sense... Who the Okay, I'm sorry, hold on. The fuck is that? Also, where did these other delusions come from? Or tips, sorry. The coach from a famous basketball manga. On the internet, users parody a certain quote from the manga in order to express a desperate desire. Anzai sensei, I want to. Another oft-quoted line. This one spoken by Anzai sensei is, if you give up, it's game over. Cool. I want to be a man who stands out from the crowd. Had I asked her anything like that? No, I fucking hadn't. Strolling right into the enemy base. What the hell was she thinking? We could be killed at any moment. Completely ignoring my complaints, Sena casually entered the fancy building, dragging me right along with her. After all, the chain had given me no choice in the matter. I mean, to be fair, he wants this to be completely over. Well, let's get it over with. Let's just get it done. The grandeur of the expansive lobby standing before me took my breath away. Yeah, this is actually really fucking cool. Like, it's bland as shit, but I dig this. I dig this sort of stuff. I don't know why. The Nozomi Group. It had apparently become one of Japan's leading conglomerates. A place like this was so far removed from the life of a student like me, it felt like a completely different world. I had never set foot in a building quite like it before. The size of the lobby, the practical enshrinement of the hot grills at the reception desk. I had to take a moment to breathe. Grills? Wait, we were in a company workplace. Shouldn't it have been off limits to unauthorized personnel? Both Sena and I were wearing sume uniforms, so we were very obviously high school students. Not only that, but I was wrapped up in a chain too. We were practically screaming that we were intruders, excuse me. For Sena to disregard this and enter the building like she owned the place, I began to doubt her sanity. The moment we entered through the automatic doors, I made eye contact with one of the receptionists.
帰ろうよ。
I was hesitant to go any further than we already had, but Sena didn't stop moving.
心配するな。
We moved past the reception desk and headed toward the elevator in the back. And nobody had said a word to us. What the hell? Kinda sus. Sena didn't get on the elevator though. Instead, she chose to go for the fire escape near the hall. Beyond the door was a dimly lit emergency staircase, and that was where she finally stopped.
周囲は私たちを望みの社員だと思い込んでる。
Suddenly, before I could even blink, the pressure on my body disappeared. When I looked down, I saw that the chain around me had vanished without a trace. And the next thing I saw was the D-sword in Sena's hand. Was that change as a delusion that Sena had real booted using her gigalomaniac powers? Yeah, probably. So Sena had sent anti-particles into the dead spots, and this time making the real booted chain instantly disappear?
望みの社員と思ってるってどういう？
そう思い込ませた。肉眼で私たちを見た人間全員にな。
Gotcha. She'd made them. She could do that? Sena then looked up at the top of the staircase. Something resembling a surveillance camera was installed there. It had a red light affixed to it, and it let out an eerie sound as it surveyed the room.
監視カメラにも思い込ませることってできるの？
Well, it's not the cameras themselves that's like observing us, it's the people on the other side. So as long as they are the ones that are also being tricked, then it's all good.
やろうと思えばできるかもな。試したことはない。それに、やる必要もない。
なんでバレちゃうじゃないか。ありえない。スニーキングミッションでは監視カメラを最初に壊すでしょ。常識的に考えて。
Man, we are knocking out these tips. Well, everyone who'd played a video game before, at least.
言っただろ。お前が目立つことが必要なんだ。
And that's exactly what I don't get. Aren't you contradicting yourself? You made them assume that we're Nozomi employees in order to camouflage us, but then you turn around and say you need to stand out. Which is it? What exactly are you trying to do? All everyone ever does is speak in riddles. Do you all think I'm an idiot or something? Well, I know I am. What do you all think of yourselves or to yourselves? Even if I try to explain it, he won't get it? You are, aren't you? Fuck you. Ah, damn it. I'm smart, people. My IQ is absolutely higher than Sena's, no doubt about it. I don't even know what my IQ is. Sometimes I can barely read. As I bit my lip in frustration, Sena took off on her own up the stairs, leaving me behind to continue seething. Did this girl have any actual interest in protecting me? No, she didn't. After all, she'd already put me in harm's way by dragging me into this building. But regardless of her intentions, I just wish that she would stop rushing ahead on her own. She could at least tell me where she was going and what she was trying to do. Just give me some sort of explanation, please. Why were we using the staircase instead of the elevator anyway? I sucked at exercising.
エレベーターに乗るのは自殺行為だ。
Sena's voice rang out from above me. Had she read my mind again? With a sigh, I started heading up the stairs toward her voice. Sena was waiting 2 stories above me. As soon as I caught up, she started climbing again.
敵の本拠地でエレベーターに乗ったら、閉じ込められて身動きが取れなくなるのがオチだろ。
それはそうだけど。
それより西条、将軍について教えろ。そいつはいつからお前を攻撃するようになった？
1ヶ月ぐらい前から。
話したことがあるんだな。
When I nodded in response, Sena stopped dead in her tracks and looked down at me from a few stairs above. I can see your panties from this angle, Sena-san, excuse me. I averted my eyes out of reflex.
どんなことを言っていた？
A lot of things. I took a moment to tell Sena about everything Shogun had said up to that point, as well as the fake kidnapping he'd staged to try and scare me.
畑野という名前に聞き覚えは？
ないけど。
将軍が言っていたかもしれないだろう。よく思い出せ。
Hatano. I had never heard the name before.
誰？
プロジェクトノアに関わっていた男だ。
I didn't know him. I didn't even know what Project Noah was.
そうか。知らないなら別にいい。
Sena turned away in a huff and resumed her climb in silence. Back to it, I guess. Climbing stairs isn't that bad. But I guess it's really bad for Takumi.
まだ。
We'd gone up at least 20 stories with next to no breaks. I had probably never climbed so many stairs in my entire life. I was exhausted. I didn't want to climb anymore. Sweat trickled down my forehead, stinging at my eyes. I wiped it off over and over again with my hands, but it continued to bead no matter what I did. My legs felt heavy. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was going to suffocate. I planted my hands on my knees in an attempt to catch my breath. Drops of sweat fell from my face and dotted the floor.
あとどれぐらい登るの？
社長室は最上階にあるらしい。31階だ。
10 more floors to go. Hold on, why was I even going along with this in the first place? All I'd done was ask Sena to protect me. So why was this happening to me? I don't know what that's trying to say. Unless that's the, is that the character from JoJo's? His face appeared in the back of my mind. My heavy breathing reverberated throughout the quiet staircase. Surprisingly, Sena didn't try to go on ahead after I caught up this time. Instead, she leaned against the wall and stared at me with a blank expression on her face. Seemed like she was finally letting us take a short break. Mounted above Sena was another one of the security cameras. They were installed on every floor. There was no way they hadn't found out that we'd been climbing the staircase by now. Security guards could arrive at any moment.
監視カメラに細工をしなかったのは
Suddenly, Sena began to murmur something.
将軍がもし望みの人間でこのビル内にいるならおびき寄せることができるかもしれないと思ったからだ。
つまり僕はおとりってわけ？
そういうことになる。もともと望みになんか興味はなかったんだけどな。このビルに乗り込むことにしたのだってイレギュラーだ。もちろんいつかはプロジェクトノアを潰そうとは思っていたが、それは今じゃない。それよりも優先しなくちゃいけないことがあった。
She'd become awfully talkative all of a sudden. Was she finally going to explain why we were here? But Sena didn't reveal what that something was.
お前の話を聞く限り、その将軍は何かを知ってる。あるいは、畑野のことも。
For a split second, her face stiffened upon saying that name. Were they really that terrible of a person?
安心しろ、西条。これは交換条件だ。お前におとりになってもらう代わりに、私はお前を守る。それにお前だって将軍の正体を知りたいだろ。脅威を排除するにはこちらから攻撃。
She is going to protect us regardless of what happens, whether somebody attacks us out of nowhere or attacks us because of her plan. Sena abruptly stopped. She then frowned, stepped away from the wall, and readied her gigantic D-sword, right in the middle of this narrow, cramped stairway.
どうしたの?
Oh, I think we've got a porter. Sena didn't answer. She peered down the stairwell and then up, only to freeze in place.
この声、どこから?
A voice?
お前、何者だ?
She suddenly shouted. I thought she might have been shouting at the security camera, but her gaze was directed further upward, toward the ceiling. It couldn't be. I had a bad feeling about this. Unable to resist the bait, I looked up at the ceiling. Naturally, there was nothing there. After all, I couldn't hear the voice, but I had a good idea of what it was. Shogun. He was reading our minds using some satellite way up in the sky, and he was making Sena hear some kind of voice.
セナ、その声を聞いちゃダメだ。セナ!
I promptly grabbed hold of her shoulders and shook her.
将軍は望みの人間じゃないらしい。
I was right. She had heard Shogun's voice.
騙されてる。あいつは敵だよ。信じちゃダメだ。
音だ。
My hands were still gripping her shoulders. She responded by grabbing my wrist tightly. Her nails dug in deep, shooting pain throughout my entire body. My face twisted in...
西条、音がしている。気をつけろ。
Oh no. Now we're gonna have a delusion. Oh. A flash of light burst into my head, and from that light, an image came forth. A dark room, a puddle of blood staining the floor, a modern art piece resembling that of a crucifix. Someone was bound there, with their head lifelessly hanging down, their clothes stained in blood, their right hand cruelly severed. I'd seen it. I'd seen it clearly. That was without a doubt. Nanami.
ナナミがこのビルのどこかに。
She had been kidnapped by Shogun. Her wrist. That wasn't a delusion, it was real. I had to find her. I wasn't able to save her before, and now Sena was suffering too. So I had to find her. This time for sure, I had to do something.
落ち着け西条。これは罠の可能性が。
さっき君だって将軍の言葉を信じたじゃないか。
I violently shook Sena's hands off of me. The presidential office was on the 31st floor.
違う。音を聞け。将軍の干渉とは別の妄想だ。
I ignored her and sprinted up the stairs. This was no time to complain about my exhaustion. I was desperate. Nanami was suffering, and it was my fault. It was all my fault. I had failed her back then. I had run away. She must resent me. Forgive me. I'm a pathetic excuse for an older brother. Damn it, I wanted power. I wanted a D-sword like Sena's. Why? Why couldn't I get my hands on one? It was all I asked for. Nanami, don't die. I'm begging you. Oh yeah, we are most definitely running right into a trap of some sort.
Nanami!
I made it to the giant 31st floor, and there was only one entrance to it. Wasting no time, I flung it open and dove straight through, and just like that, I was in the very same room that I saw in that vision. Several monitors hung from the ceiling, each displaying the word Nozomi on a white background. I looked all over for Nanami. The room was so dark I couldn't make anything out clearly.
Nanami.
There were no signs of life. No movement, no breathing, nothing at all.
西条。
Chasing after me, Sena flew through the open door. She forcefully grabbed my hand.
今すぐ出るぞ。これは罠だ。
だってNanamiが。
聞こえないのかこの音が。
Well, the door is closed. Suddenly the door that we'd left open slammed shut all on its own. The room grew even darker.
しまった。
Sena ran to the door and wrestled with the knob, but it refused to budge. Then the outline of the D-sword in her hand suddenly faded to nothing. It was almost as if it had completely dissolved.
閉じ込められた。
だったら力を使えばいいじゃないか。
うまく妄想できない。
Sena's face twisted. She rubbed her temples and weakly shook her head. I was getting a headache. I only noticed it when I'd regained my focus. It wasn't severe by any means, but the minor faint pain, it seemed to reverberate from the very center of my head, an ache that throbbed and throbbed and throbbed. I feel kind of lightheaded. Nanami, where are you? Is this one of Shogun's traps? Is Shogun my ally? What kind of company is Nozomi Technology? Sena has such small tits. Where is that coming from? Who's Hatano anyway? Weird, I'm losing my train of thought.
バイオ周波数攻撃を受けているぞ。
The display on the two monitors overhead suddenly changed. In place of the Nozomi logo, the faces of two middle-aged men appeared, one on each monitor.
まったく最近の若者は恐れ知らずだな。もちろん悪い意味でだが。
いかにも。おそらく井ノ原先生が推進したゆとり教育の産物だろうね。
私はただ300人委員会のプランを実行したまでだがな。世界人間牧場計画の一環としては悪くないプログラムだったよ。
What was going on? Who were these people?
それを潰したのも井ノ原先生だというのがなんとも滑稽なところだよ。300人委員会も予想外だっただろうね。
私と倉持先生の野心も知らず、のうのうと世界を牛耳っているつもりなのだろうが、そんな連中に対するある種の宣戦布告だったんだよ、あれは。
世界を掌握するのに300人も必要ない。我ら2人で十分なのだからね。
What were these two talking about? Then, right as I was thinking that, the two men on the monitors turned their stares to me.
それにしても、ノロセが言っていた通りだったね。まさかここまで馬鹿正直に網にかかる者がいたと。
1週間も放置しておけば衰弱してろくに抵抗もできなくなろう。それから拷問しようとしゃれ込もうではないか。
畑のセナはすでにコードサンプル取得済みと資料にはある。
Hatano Sena? Who was that?
洗脳を施した方が良さそうだ。我らの兵士としよう。
兵士兼慰み者だな。ギガロマニアックスの少女を奴隷とするなど実に気分が良さそうではないか。
Kinda sus.
井ノ原先生もお好きだね。
What the fuck?
ではギガロマニアックスの諸君、監禁生活をせいぜい楽しみたまえ。
1週間が経つ頃にはプロジェクトノアにより世界は大きく変わっていることだろう。その変革の瞬間を見ることができない君たちに同情するよ。
The old men disappeared from the monitors, and the room was covered in darkness once again. It had been a trap. It had all been a trap. To think two grown men, one of which I was sure was a member of the House of Representatives, would join forces to just trap some random otaku freak like me? Well, this couldn't be real. It had to be a fucking joke. Nanami wasn't here. She had to be imprisoned somewhere else. I felt absolutely pathetic for playing right into their hands. If I had have known that this would have happened, well, I would have just listened to Sena.
衆議院議員と天聖振興会の教祖が300人委員会の一員だったとはな。
Sena slammed her shoulder against the entrance again and again, but it refused to give in. It had probably been locked from the outside, and seeing as it was extremely sturdy, trying to bust it open was likely impossible.
300人委員会
If I remembered correctly, wasn't that the name of that organization which occasionally popped up in conspiracy theories? Did it actually exist?
よく考えてみればそれも納得だ。もともと沈黙の兵器の理論を作ったのは300人委員会なんだからな。
さっきのおっさんたちが言ってたプロジェクトノアって何？
Having given up, Sena stepped away from the door in defeat. She surveyed the dimly lit room with a sullen expression.
のぞみテクノロジーが進めている沈黙の兵器開発計画だ。
沈黙の兵器？
一言で言うなら広範囲に作用するマインドコントロール装置だな。思考盗撮、視覚投影、五感制御。肉体的には損傷を与えることはない。音もないし、色もないし、匂いもしない。目にも見えない。だが確実に多くの人の精神をゆっくりと静かに汚染していく。誰にも気づかれないまま攻撃は完了しているんだ。
まるでギガロマニアックスの力みたいじゃないか。
当然だ。沈黙の兵器はギガロマニアックスを人工的に生み出そうという考えから始まったんだからな。
It was also insane that it didn't even feel real. But in the end, that was just the way things were. I was no hero, even if I was told that an insane conspiracy such as that was true, and that it was currently unfolding in Shibuya. I wouldn't feel the slightest urge to stand against it. Even if I were to go out and fight, I wouldn't be able to help anyone. I'd just leave it to someone who was actually useful. Maybe, just maybe, the NewGen incidents, as well as the endless string of bizarre events that had been plaguing me, were all related to this Project Noah. If that was the case, I would need to leave Shibuya as soon as possible in order to protect myself. All I wanted was for Nanami to be safe, me to be safe, and for us to live in peace. That was all I wished for. For that to happen, I needed to find a way out of here. I couldn't stand the thought of being stuck in a place like this for upwards of a week, especially with there being no sign of any food or water anywhere. Oh, so that's what those old guys have been talking about. If we didn't eat or drink for an entire week, we'd inevitably start to break down. Worst case scenario, we could even die.
セナ、なんとかここから脱出する方法を考えてよ。
扉は開かない。
Sena looked utterly exhausted.
ディソードは
なぜか出せなくなった。力を封じられたか。沈黙の兵器で攻撃されているぞ、西条。
A silent weapon attack. The hell? Are you saying there's no way out? Sena, with a look of pure exhaustion, slumped down to the floor.
大丈夫？
そう。体がだるい。それになんだか妙な気持ちだ。胸の奥が締め付けられるような。
Her breathing shallow, Sena undid a few buttons of her uniform. Even in the dark, I could see that her skin was drenched in sweat. Despite her situation, I found myself getting flustered. Come to think of it, it did feel pretty hot in here.
なあ、水を持ってないか？
Of course I didn't, but I was getting thirsty too, and fast. The thought of spending a full week in this heat without a drop of water made me feel utterly hopeless. Sena was staring fixedly at me. I knew there was no way I'd be able to maintain eye contact with a 3D girl, so I desperately looked away. But I could still feel her gaze piercing through me. Don't look.
水はないよ。
When I answered, I took a quick glance at Sena. Our eyes met. Hold on, what was up with those shimmering eyes of hers? She almost looked like a love-struck maiden or some shit. Well, I was both a virgin and had never had a girlfriend before, so I didn't know if that actually happened in reality. Panicking, I turned my back to Sena and gulped down my building saliva.
おかしい。気をつけろ、西条。感情を操作されているかもしれない。
え、それってどういう？
お前を見ていると切ない気持ちになってくるんだ。くそ、ふざけた攻撃を。
So the attack involved making Sena feel like she'd fallen in love with me? Or could it be that she'd already had feelings for me to begin with? Yeah, no way in hell. Use your brain, Takumi.
感情を操作って一体どんな仕組みで？
人の感情なんて結局脳を流れる電気信号でしかないんだ。その電気信号に干渉する技術は世界中で研究されてる。案外とっくに実用化されてるかもしれない。ましてや沈黙の兵器ノア2なら造作もないことだ。分かっただろう。世界は電気仕掛けだと私が言った意味が。
Does that mean it's like a program? Lines of ones and zeros? It'd be incredibly easy to tamper with something like that. It's a scientifically proven fact that electronic signals run through our brains, so in reality, not only our emotions, but both the mind and the soul are reducible to mere electronic signals. Wait a second, that's no different from 2D, is it? For example, let's look at a heroine from an eroge, Lizelot from ESO, the anime version of Seroton and Sena. What's the difference between the four of them? If what Sena says about everything in the world being an electronic device is true, then there are no differences. They're all the same, mere electronic signals running through a device. I felt like I finally, albeit vaguely, understood why Sena had used the word error. If all of that was true, then this Noah 2 weapon would be like some super deadly virus or someone using cheats in order to PK. Not even Nightheart could win against those kinds of people. And not only that, but compared to Nightheart, I was a ridiculously shitty playable character. So in the end, being trapped here and starving to death like a pathetic loser, well, that was a pretty fitting game over for me.
僕が悪いんじゃない。死亡フラグ立てまくってる。僕の中の人が悪いんだ。くそ。
Yeah, it's my fault, sorry. Cradling my head, I curled into a ball. I mean, technically, yeah. I am the one that is controlling what Takumi does here. Or, like, the options given to us we kind of direct him into a certain direction. Or some shit like that, I don't know. But, alrighty, we will call it there. And, yeah, I guess next time we get to be trapped again. God damn it. Hopefully this isn't as bad as Yua's route. Hopefully we're not trapped for too long, or else this is going to be another sucky route. And I'm not really looking forward to that. For some reason, I do like the dynamic with Takumi and Sena. We don't get enough Sena, I feel. Like, she's really, like, aggressive. She is impatient. She's very smart, I would say, to a degree. And yeah, she's very strong. But, god damn. I don't know. I don't even know what my goddamn is about. Just, damn it, we're trapped again. Well, anyways, thank you all for watching this episode. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz. And I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy.